slow and silent.
Yes?
This one.
Lava beyond seek!
Doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war? I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded. I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will. About him going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your God, you only get the one. Now, me, I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get... I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his God one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field. Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know. If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it. He asked me to trust him the day he left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that. Raid Saris is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey, even knowing how it ended. Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then. I still owe you one.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place. I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act.
For once, the half-souled elf is right. To live in ignorance is to allow the gods to have their way with us.
I've also been thinking, there won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the Leaden Key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way. Then let's face Theos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again.
Of course. Keeping an eye out.
Can't get a good...
As you wish.
I'll see what I can find.
Can't get a good shot with this.
Keeping an eye out. Keeping an eye out.
A parte da loja da ponte cerca sobre as ruínas de uma cidade antiga parece estável o suficiente para... Estável o suficiente, mas a diferença a largura deixou uma pequena chance das coisas darem errado. Douglas começa a correr e salta sobre a abertura, tentando seguir pela aterrissagem e cai do outro lado, emaranhado em galhas. Ah.
A blade in the dark.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen? I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. You will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well. Ask this, were there any other choice?
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I am ready to hear one from you.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here? We are in a sanctum holy to Utica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me. That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build. It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it. They are monuments to Woodica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete. The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh. What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things. We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them. How did you find it? Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason. Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect. What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own? You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased. You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did.
Yet the other builders were slain. 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemed?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
My name belonged to the gods, and my hand to their service. No more.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in uncertainty than servitude.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You will have to forgive your Grandmaster for remaining skeptical of his initiates. You are far from home, dwarf.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
Anything worth doing comes at great cost.
So it was worth it, then, to tell a dying beast of things it neither understood nor had memory of. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives. I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago. I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it. The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls. That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark. There is no false hope. Only hope for things. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. all mysteries forever unanswered, all purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure, only a wheel turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust. For all my years, I have seen exactly what they are capable of. What the apostate asked was beyond any man. All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way. We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that with your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
E aí? Que legal, hein? Sério. Tá. Ah, derrubou o filho da puta, né, bicho? Porra.
What?
Você já vai usar isso aí então. Beleza. Foi de sacanagem que você vai ficar deitado aí, né, véi?
Need a fighting hand here.
Queria que todo mundo acertasse essa porra aqui de uma vez, né?
Aye? Lava will be on.
Valeu, tiozão.
I shall deal with this one. Aye?
A light has been extinguished.
How may I help?
Good shot with this.
So much for that one.
Beyond sea!
Let's just take it over! Yes?
Zero, tá. Porra, cara.
Moeth Ixi.
Você não fez isso não, né, maluco?
Oh, about tax time.
Kill them up!
Que legal.
Damn it! We gotta take better care.
E aí, Maiones? Já tô meio complicado aqui.
Roak 10!
Tudo de boa. E com você? Tá, deixa eu ver primeiro.
Ligna!
Ligna!
So much.
Yes?
Tá full de sacanagem, né, velho? Continuar matando esse cabo aqui.
Aye?
Ah, como que você conseguiu arrumar? É sério que vocês não vão?
I shall deal with this. Let's. I shall deal with this one.
Nada, ele tá lá ainda e vai continuar lá. Que eu só volto lá depois.
Bring them down!
Aye? Grith!
Olha isso aqui, velho.
Yes? La.
Deixa eu ver. Então. Tá mais fácil do que o... Que é o dragão lá.
Lavaru, beyond seek!
Bring them!
Não usa isso aqui, por favor.
Here's a lesson.
Mais ou menos, porque... é complicado aqui.
Yes? I fear we've
Olha
lost
lá.
the angry one.
Ah, que legal.
Get top line!
Arthek, Worth, and Roth! Arthek.
I shall deal. Get top lad!
Lavaru.
Deu muito bom, não. Eu ainda acho que vai ter alguns F ainda. Que eu tô num lugar que não dá pra mim trocar os... esse personagem. Então, fodido. Coloca todo mundo pra vir pra cá primeiro. Aí param, porque, meu amigo. É isso, velho. Fica longe, tia. Já veio pro tiozão aqui. Cadê onde você tá? Não, não.
How may I
Esse aqui. É pra cá também. Sim. Eles não tá nem aí pra nada não. Deixa eu ver.
Ready, Watcher.
Ai, tá de sacanagem, velho.
Kill them! What?
Can't get a good shot with this.
Kill them all!
Yes?
Can't get. You're
Morreu, velho. Tá full de sacanagem, velho.
can't get a good shot with this.
Mow it.
Reviveu o cachorrinho, beleza.
Kill them all. Mow it. See, no.
The big fella's dead.
Ah, tá full de sacanagem, irmão. Você não usa essa merda, não. Ele não vai usar. Ah,
Fire for the war of a goddess! A gift if the Eothasian doesn't...
Yes?
They've got my scent. They got the priest.
beleza, que todo mundo morreu, velho.
Rock 10!
Tá. Olha isso, velho. Vai se lascar, mano.
Ready, Watcher.
What? Worth and roar! Moet Pixie Anna! Enough of this!
Let's get a good shot with this.
Oh, no.
Your will, Watcher.
Pega também, cachorro.
Aye?
Deixa eu ver.
Lavaru, be on seek!
What?
Qual que é a dificuldade de você usar as merdas do negócio de cura, velho?
Aztec birth and wrath!
Não, diversão, valeu aí, mano. Não tá dando pra me aparecer muito lá porque eu tô acordando na hora que eu tô abrindo live, velho. Mas valeu pela força aí. Sim, tá bem hard aqui.
Mow it.
Valeu aí. Ah, mano, olha lá, ele vai lá e me derruba o cara aqui. Que cura ainda por cima.
Did it just get quieter?
Que bagulho legal, velho. Ai, ai.
Yes? Lava will be on seek!
Curse your eyes!
Tá, ele morreu lá, mas agora fodeu de vez, né?
Yes?
Lavaru beyond seek.
Que bagulho bizarro, velho. Deixa eu ver.
Lava!
Worth and Artek worth and raw.
Não dá nada de dano nele, é isso. É isso.
Crooctet! If we took him down, take them all with us! Indeed.
Tá full de sacanagem, né, velho?
Rith Uligna!
Well?
Get up, lad! Yes? Lava will be on seek!
What is it?
Então, o carinha aqui, ele vai ficar trocando a alma dele com esses bichos aqui. Na primeira vez é tranquilo, mas na segunda ele não recebe dano de nada. Esse que é o difícil.
Lava Ruby.
Get your blood! Like worth and wrong!
Arthak, Worth, and Raw. Lava Rule beyond sea.
Eu fico dando 2 de dano nele. Ah lá, não dá.
Aloth? Shit!
É, o pior é que não tem como eu sair daqui. Que legal. Por enquanto só.
Aye?
Ready, Watcher.
What?
Hey,
What is it?
Mano, vem pra cá, tia.
How may I help?
What?
Worth, and Raw.
Kill them all!
Dead on!
Eu vou tentar matar esse bicho aqui primeiro aqui.
I'm here.
É mais fácil.
Help.
How may I help? Lava room. Lava room.
Então.
Bring them down!
Tá.
Yes?
Deixa eu ver o que eu ainda tenho aqui.
Lava.
Art that wood and wood?
Here's
Então agora só tem ele.
Do you see me?
Art that wood and wood?
Aye? Lava room. Be on.
Deixa eu ver.
Can't get a good shot.
Ei, tiozão. Saindo coronada aí.
Can't get a good shot with this.
kill. No.
Mata logo ele de uma vez.
I have failed.
Aí. Até que enfim.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
Foi meio complicado, mas conseguimos.
Thousands of souls he has tortured. Would that he could live those sufferings 1,000 times himself.
He was good at serving his god, I give him that. He should have picked a better one.
He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. Could a man like that ever be redeemed?
Não, o que que eu fiz, doido? É. O que que eu fiz? Deu bom. Ai, ai. Tá. Todo mundo quer conversar agora, bicho, é esse?
Course.
Ah, eu já volto aí rapidão. Eu vou pegar uma coisa pra não ficar passando frio. Pegar uma blusa mais quente e já volto aí. Tá, deixa eu ver o que que todo mundo quer.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him? Those can be hard to come by. I feel for people still looking for theirs. Easy to see what it means to them to have someone to look to for answers. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that? Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. So folks could get back to believe. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make...
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were afield in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of durance nor of Margarin. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will...
Never thought I'd see something like this in my travels. Lends a little perspective, doesn't it? To think, the decisions the Anguithans made thousands of years ago still shape our lives today. It would be a shame to deny these souls the chance to find their own way and their own purpose. I'd probably still be twiddling my thumbs by the side of the road if you hadn't come along. Thanks for bringing us this far.
Theos may be gone, but his crimes, the wounds he has inflicted, remain. Yet before you lies an opportunity to heal, to restore. Only through the healing of families, repairing the bonds between parent and child, reforging the shattered links between generations, people will long remember the legacy. Let them also remember the healing that followed.
Deixa eu ver a quest dela aqui. Eu ainda tenho que tentar falar com ela. Deixa eu descansar primeiro, que eu não sei o que tem ainda pra vir. Parece que já foi direto pra quest dela. Não, ele dá salve, seja automático quando eu passo de um lugar pro outro. O save é só pra a fogueira é só pra recuperar a vida mesmo. Tipo assim, se eu tiver no mesmo mapa e quiser salvar, eu mesmo tenho que ir lá e salvar. No caso aqui teve o save automático porque eu acho que esse daqui é o penúltimo boss que eu tinha que enfrentar. E pode ser chamado de boss no caso, né? Mas eu não sei se era boss mesmo, então eu não faço a mínima. Uhum. Uhum. Uhum.
Theos may be gone, but his crimes. Yet before you lies an opportunity
Eu
to
já tinha
heal,
falado com
to
você
heal
sobre isso,
along with-
tia.
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
E ainda não completou. Ai, ai, vamos lá de
Theos
novo.
may be gone, yet before you lies an people will long.
Eu vou ter que sair daqui pra
Astounding. I always
conseguir
knew
falar
that
com ela de
Lynn stood
novo.
for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. And now, you're in the middle of something even bigger. But even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Theos had become to realize that. It's your decision, of course. And whatever you decide, I'm glad our paths crossed in Gilded Vale.
Tá.
Of course.
Uhum. Uhum.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you did. You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrit House, those preening soldiers with more taste for silk than steel, the wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in... And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you? The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron. Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Woodica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
Que vagabundo, velho. Tu tava lá, rapaz, tá. Você vai se fuder na minha mão.
You say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
É, isso daqui é a missão principal. Eu vou devolver todo mundo, é isso.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, In the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Terra Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the lost souls of the Hollowborn were funneled back into the churn of Bareth's wheel to find their way into new vessels and partake in the life they had been denied during Whitewind's legacy. Though parents of Hollowborn would remain just that, the end of Whitewind's legacy would bring about a spate of new, healthy births, with many of the infants bearing souls once meant for Hollowborn children. The natural cycle of life and death had been restored to Deerwood, and with it came a renewed faith in the providence of the gods. It is said that Galawain is the enforcer of the gods, and is known to hunt down those who wrong them. To wrong Galawain, then, is truly to wake the beast, and the father of monsters took great umbrage at your broken promise to him. Along with Mogren and Abidan, Galawain embarked upon a more direct approach to claiming his quarry. In the months that followed, the frontier settlements of Deerwood were inexplicably attacked by packs of beasts and monsters, suddenly organized and unafraid to approach Kith on their own land. Many such villages were all but destroyed by the time troops could be dispatched from local garrisons. Those that weren't destroyed by the beasts of Galawain often found themselves at the mercy of the fires of Mogren. A dry spell throughout Deerwood led to a rash of forest fires on a scale not seen since the War of Black Trees, and many settlements paid the price for their proximity to the wilderness. In the cities, meanwhile, dabblers in animancy who had placed souls into golems and other moving vessels soon found that their creations had risen up against them. Such constructs terrorized their surroundings, killing indiscriminately and often in great numbers before being subdued. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Whitewind's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the Knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiate slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of Animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every Thane and Earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodanians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwoodan market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Widewind's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of Aethasians known as the Night Market. Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Adair found his faith in Aethus renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. He rose quickly through the ranks of the Night Market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Deerwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again. When the dust settled in Sun and Shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grand Master had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. After all that he had learned in the Watcher's company, Kanarua could no longer see meaning in his pursuit of the Tanvi Oratoa. He decided to leave what remained of it within the depths of the Endless Paths and return home. Kana bid the Watcher farewell and sailed back to Rawatai, spending the tempestuous journey reflecting on the time he had lost to the pursuit of falsehoods. His family found Kana much changed, his fiery excitement replaced with a weary solemnity. Determined to change his wandering ways, Kana took up a quiet life as a lorekeeper at the college, teaching young students the traditions of their people. With Theos defeated and the souls released from Sun and Shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood, and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance used Mogren's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then, swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. Sagani experienced the 4 months of her journey back to Masuk in vivid colors. She strove to memorize every moment of her final trip through the Deerwood, Erglonfoth, the Valian Republics, and beyond, preparing to tell her village of what she had seen on her long journey. All of Masuk shared in her triumph, and she felt her pride and elation magnified by the joy of her village. Never again did she doubt the value of her sacrifices. After decades as a long hunter, Sagani finally became one of Masuk's most respected elders. She guided her community with wise counsel, and a generation after she finally passed, another huntress journeyed into the world to find her soul. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
E agora acabou, né? É, acabou, mas não foi o final pro segundo jogo. Acabou. Mas eu acho que esse final aqui pro que eu fiz não leva pro segundo jogo, não. Pelo menos eu acho. Então. Eu nem preciso enfrentar o bichão lá. É isso. Eu vi. É. Aquele lá era o... Eu acho que era pra ser o boss final ou o penúltimo boss, mas... Menos combinados. E aí não tem... Não tem New Game Plus. É isso. Deixa eu ver aqui se eu tenho alguma coisa pra jogar. Tá, deixa eu ver o que eu tenho instalado aqui. Eu ainda não sei, eu tenho que ver. Ah, o automod tá restringindo tua mensagem ali, aí eu dar uma olhada aqui no que eu tenho instalado. Uhum. O pior é que eu não tenho nada de interessante instalado aqui. Uhum. Então, o bot não gostou não. Deixa eu procurar um jogo aqui pra instalar rapidão. Deixa eu ver. Eu vou encerrar aqui, vou voltar rapidão pra cortar o VOD. Aí eu fico procurando alguma coisa pra jogar. Eu já voltei.